Hey there, viewers. Thank you for tuning in to Supermariodiagnostics. Today we are at the ASTE event. This is a huge training event. It's an annual event, and it's the first in-person event that I've been in a very long time. Everyone's here, and I wanted to change it up a bit. I wanted to show some footage, some in-class footage, but also I would like to start asking people some questions. A lot of the industry's finest are here, and I think I'm gonna turn this into like a little interview thing where it kind of revolves around asking people, should you become a mechanic in 2021 or 2022, whatever you want to call it. We see that every now and then. We see a couple of videos there. We see people asking this question, should you become a mechanic nowadays? And you get a lot of different opinions, you get a lot of different answers, but it really depends on the success of the person that you're asking, because you're gonna get a lot of opinions, and they all vary. And I'll be the first one to answer it. I do think you should become a mechanic nowadays. Now is the best time to become a mechanic. We have more training than ever. We have more social interaction than ever. We have more connection to one another than ever, and I would suggest we take full advantage of it. Now is the best time to, especially with all the technology that's going around, we're able now to access information, reach out to colleagues, and get assistance if we ever need to. I mean, it's a really good time, and if you do it right, you can make a really good living. I bought my first home within 5 years of this career, so this industry has been good to me, and I think that I proudly would say, yeah, you should become a mechanic. But of course, my opinion doesn't, I mean, it's not gonna make or break anything. We're gonna ask others. There's a whole lot of people down here. We have shop owners, and we have technicians as well. Check that guy out right there. Hey, Jim Morton. We're going to go around and ask people what they think. Should you become a mechanic? And we'll ask them some other questions, like, should shop owners pay for training? Or what are improvements you think that the industry should have in general, going forward? What improvements can we make as an industry going forward? Things like, I don't know, personal experiences. Maybe what kind of tools they can't live without. We'll just wing it. We'll see what happens. Let's go interview some people.
Oh, is that actually a stable?
We got our first victim.
What's up?
Please introduce yourself to the world.
PJ Walter from Voltage Drop Diagnostics.
On YouTube?
On YouTube.
For people who don't know. We got some questions for you, man.
This is my first time seeing myself in 4K.
Nice, ain't it? So, like we were saying, we're going to go around, ask random people, whoever is willing. We're going to ask them a bunch of questions, whatever, and see what they say. First question is, should you become a mechanic nowadays? What would you say to the world?
I actually think you absolutely should. Not only is it fulfilling, we get to fix broken things all day long, so if that's something you enjoy, it's the perfect job for you. But for me, I've been able to provide for my wife, my daughter, bought a house when I was younger, so financially it's taken care of me. It's fulfilled my need to fix things. I think you should absolutely become a technician, if that's something you're interested in.
What advice would you give to the technicians of tomorrow?
So the big thing for me, is somebody who mentors a lot of apprentices, is to make sure you go to a shop that has a mentorship program in place, right? I hear so many stories about kids getting stuck on lube racks or getting thrown to the wolves. Maybe start looking at shops that aren't flat rate when you're 18, 19 years old. So I don't know about you, but I was flat rate at 18 and I struggled. My first car was a short circuit on a door lock circuit. Took me 2 days to find. I got paid 1 hour. Those were the first
man.
flat rate job I had. Knew nothing about
Happens
electrical.
all too often, man. That sucks.
Yeah. So my advice is to find a shop where you can have a mentor, and make sure it's a program, right? Not just
get and go.
exactly.
Get in and
Make
go.
sure there's a program in place. Make sure you have a mentor, and find a good shop like that.
I got another one for you. Do you think shop owners should pay for technicians to go to training?
Yeah, I do. It's not cheap. When you add in hotel costs, training costs, traveling costs, it's expensive. And I think it's something shop owners should pay for. They benefit from it. I mean, we also benefit from it, obviously, as well. But shop owners definitely, they gain from it. And they should at least help with the cost of it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we're paying all this out of pocket ourselves, and
Yeah.
you know, like you said, it benefits the shop owners. I mean, you would think it's a no-brainer,
Yeah.
man. All right, so got another one for you. What's something that you couldn't have been taught, that you only were able to learn by experiencing it? Maybe you got your butt kicked on something, or maybe whatever it is. I know it's probably a tough one.
It is a tough one. I will say is so. It's not necessarily a car that I was working on, but I was helping a friend diagnose a car that had a valve timing issue. And when you would actually look at the timing links, the timing chain, it looked on time. But what had happened was the cam spun on the cam phaser. And without training from people like Brandon Steckler and Mario with in-cylinder training, it would have never been able to have been diagnosed. It was clear as day on an in-cylinder waveform. And without that knowledge, I have no idea how you'd be able to diagnose a shifted cam without it.
You were able to, so it was shifted and then it stayed that way, or it just kept spinning?
It was shifted and it was locked 30 degrees out,
Wow.
roughly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that. I think this is gonna be the final question. What's a tool that you can't live without?
Come on, Mario. It's my scope.
Good answer.
It's my scope.
How are you liking this training event?
Oh, it's great. This is my first time at ASTE.
Me too.
This is nice. This is really nice here.
It's a nice venue, man. I like that
Yeah.
we're staying at the same place where the event is taking place. I mean,
Yeah.
not that I would mind, coming from another hotel or an Airbnb or whatnot, but it is pretty convenient.
Yeah. Gives
But-
Vision a run for its money. It's really nice here.
Oh, shots fired.
No shots fired.
I'm
No
not
shots
editing
fired.
that
I'm just saying it's nice here.
Awesome, man. Thanks for taking the time to do this quick little interview, man.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mario.
Guys, check out PJ Walter over at Voltage Drop Diagnostics. You guys didn't already get the memo, go check them out. Man, North Carolina is beautiful. I'm gonna sneak up on Brandon Dills from Jarhead Diagnostics. Gonna see what he's doing over there. But yeah, I mean, this is way different from Florida. It's nothing but green out here. So much. It's really nice out here. First time in North Carolina. And we got the Jarhead Diagnostics. What's up?
What's up? I heard sometimes, right?
Say what's
Hey,
up.
what's up,
Cheese.
Mario? What's
Say
up?
what's up, you too.
Pretty quick.
Whoa. This is where the cool kids hang out.
No, not at all.
Nice setup.
Thank you.
I think I found my new victim.
What's that?
We got some questions for you, sir.
Sweet.
All right, so we got Brandon Dills here, but we'll let him do a formal introduction.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Brandon with Jarhead Diagnostics, mobile diagnostics programming, and then tool manufacturer and tool sales.
How long have you been in the industry, man?
The auto industry for 10 years, and then I was aviation for 8 years before that. So.
Awesome. So we're pretty much going around asking everybody, should you become a mechanic nowadays?
100%. It's fed my family. It's fed pretty much anybody that I know of's family. It's an excellent trade to get into. You just have to make sure that you get good training, and then you try and find a good shop to get into, because it can definitely wear you down if you're in the wrong spot. So.
Great advice. That's actually a perfect segue into the next question. We'll assume he didn't answer it already. What advice would you give to the technicians of tomorrow?
So, training, big thing. It's recommended that you do some sort of trade school. It's not required, but it would definitely get your foot in the door on what you need to know out of the industry before you actually start.
Awesome. You used to work, before you went mobile, I'm sure you worked with an employer.
Yes.
What's your opinion on shop owners sending their techs to training? Should they?
Yes, I think if my kind of thought process is, if a lot of shop owners, they say, you know, what happens if he quits? Well, in my opinion, what happens if they stay? You want to make sure that they've got good trained technicians at their shop at all times, because if not, then, you know, you're no good in the industry, and then shop owners should be wanting to make sure they keep top tier techs. So
yeah, I mean, it works out for everyone.
Yep.
Right? What are some improvements you'd like to see overall in the industry, whether it's shop management, whatever it is, whatever facet you'd like to speak on?
Well, pretty much, I think just we should raise the industry as a whole. A lot of shops are stuck back in the 80s and 90s to where it's not conducive in today's environment. So we need to raise the industry level. So,
got any examples? Like, what can we do? Give us an example there, bud.
Training. I mean, as stupid as that sounds, training. So,
it almost seems like it's too easy,
yeah,
right?
100%.
Training is a big one.
Yep.
What's something that you learned by experience? Maybe it was like, it could be related to cars, it could be related to business, whatever you want. But what's something that you learned not because someone taught it to you, but you had to learn it through experience?
That's a good one.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of like no time.
So, in all honesty, whenever I say training, everybody needs to do training. I was a self-taught technician, which I know a lot of people were. I never went to any trade school. So,
right.
In the industry, my initial several years was self-taught. So, you just kind of have to get in the grind and do it. That makes sense.
Jump in and do it?
Yeah.
And last one, you're in the business of selling tools. What's one tool that you just can't live without? Doesn't matter what it is.
Ooh. Well, I got two.
Yeah.
One in between my ears. That's
there you go.
The number one tool every technician has to have, the brain between their ears. And then the other one is either going to be a scan tool or an oscilloscope, because without either one of those, it's difficult to get any real data in today's industry. So.
Awesome, man. Right. Thanks for taking the time to do this quick little, thing.
Yep.
And remember, guys, he has a YouTube channel. It's called Jarhead Diagnostics, and his business is jarheaddiag.com. He doesn't just do mobile stuff, go check him out. He does tools as well, so he'll cut you a deal.
All right.
Thanks again, man.
Thank you.
This is an externally shielded, this is a group shielded or bundle braided shielding, and this is an individually shielded wire. They both serve the same purpose, and it is a equipotential bonding point, as ZF calls it, or in the European training. Equipotential bonding point, again, the shielding's purpose is to keep EMF in. Now, have you guys ever worked on a crankshaft or a camshaft position sensor, and it's a shielded cable, right? Like the Power Strokes, 6 O's, it's a shielded cable. What's the point of shielding on a crankshaft or camshaft sensor? Keep the noise out. What's the point of the shielding on a high voltage cable? To keep the noise in. It's also to create an equipotential bonding point, so if there is ever an isolation fault, that it goes back and it's to all the high voltage components, and it's going to keep you safe while working on that vehicle and finding a high voltage isolation fault. So I'm going to pass these back around.
So we found our next victim. Please present yourself to YouTube.
Well, hello YouTube. I'm Isaac with WorldPack. I'm here with Mario at ASTE 2021, my favorite regional event in the country. Not just because it's local to me, but because this is one of the events where you will be able to connect with every instructor. You're going to get to shake everybody's hands. You're going to get to meet these people. So yeah, we're here at ASTE 2021, rocking out.
Yeah, having fun. How long have you been in the industry?
I entered the automotive industry professionally in 2008, right at the decline of the industry, and then I really started getting into automotive in high school. I did my first biodiesel conversion to a Mercedes in 2002 for my junior year project in high school.
Nice. So let's start it off. We're gonna ask you. We're just gonna get right into it. Should you become a technician nowadays?
Yes, I think the automotive field is incredibly rewarding if you are a technically minded person. The days of being what we would call a mechanic in the past, or changing parts, putting on brakes, suspension components, that part of the industry will always exist, but if you have a very technical mind and you can understand electrical and you can understand the way a wiring diagram flows, the world is your oyster. Those technicians are few and far in between. Technicians like Mario, Brandon, and a couple of the other guys, Voltage Drop Diagnostics that you guys see on YouTube, these guys have become really proficient in electrical diagnostic, and that is the sweet spot of automotive. So if you have an interest in that, I would absolutely recommend getting into being an automotive technician.
Sweet. So what advice can you give to the technicians of tomorrow?
So for the technicians of tomorrow, my advice would be get into electronics, start studying with electrical, buy an Arduino, play around with an Arduino. If your kids are into RC cars, as we move for a future of electrification, the kids that are into RC cars and Arduinos are going to own the market. They're going to be the top techs in the countries, maybe be engineers, but as we move into the field of electrification, you're going to be closer to an electrical engineer than you were of the mechanic of the past.
Wow. And what kind of improvement would you like to see in the industry overall?
The improvement that I would most like to see in the industry overall would just be the quality of technicians. I would like people to believe in what you're doing and stand behind the work that you do and be able to put out real quality technicians. Take pride in what you do. This is an industry full of pride. Pride is not a dangerous thing when it's backed up by quality work and integrity. So just have absolute integrity. Do what you do because it's honest, because it's what you want to do and you're passionate about it, and then the rest of it's going to come with that.
Sweet. Now, do you think that shop owners should send their techs to training, pay for their training, or is it all on the tech?
So that's actually, I think that's a great question because I was once a shop owner. I owned a shop, had multiple technicians, and I was the shop owner. I paid for local regional training, but I did not pay my technicians for their time. I did pay for the training, but not for them to go. Now, as someone who travels the country and gets to go to a lot of these training events, I think that it was a really foolish mistake of me not to pay for these training events and to not budget that into my shop. I believe that one of the biggest things you can do for training as a technician is expose the shop managers, the shop owners, the service managers, expose them to this training and let them understand what their return on investment is, because as a shop owner, I had a really hard time with that return on investment because all I saw was the dollars that it costs. But now as being in these training events, being able to participate and being able to reach out, network with people like Mario, PJ, Brandon, and a lot of these other technicians that are out here in the world, what you'll see is that the return on investment is not a return on the dollars figure, it's a return on the future. The future of your shop is being held right here at this event full of these people. If you're attending training, even if you only go once a year and you have to pick one event a year, that's going to put you in these top 1% of automotive just because you're personally seeking out the training.
Amen, brother. Now, quick question. What's something that you can think of off the top of your head that you weren't able to be taught? You just had to learn it by experience, whatever it may be. It could be car related, it could be a diagram, it could be a life lesson or a business lesson.
So I entered automotive again in 2008 when there were no jobs. So I ended up opening my shop with 18 months of professional experience because there were no jobs. So at the beginning of it, a lot of it for me was learn the hard way. Just I started taking stuff apart and putting it back together, figuring out what I did wrong. Yeah, that's really the hardest lesson. The thing that got me through it and encouraged me to get to where I am today was I was reached out by my local Advanced Auto and I signed up for CTI training in 2012, and it changed the direction of everything that I was doing. It changed the direction of how I approached a vehicle, everything. But those lessons had to come. Even if you're taught that in a classroom, you still have to personally teach yourself that in the end, because if you just go to a class to sit in a class, you're just sitting in class. You have to go and apply that. So to any degree, even if you're taking a class, you are teaching yourself in the end because you're applying that knowledge that's being gifted to you.
Nice. Final question, brother. And I thank you for your time, man. What is one tool you can't live without?
Oh gosh, now that's a hard one. The one tool that I cannot live without, that I think every technician should have in their toolbox, is an incandescent test lamp.
Nice. Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. It's $3, and it is the most valuable tool in your toolbox, especially if you're getting into electrical. Is an incandescent test lamp. A $5 test light will get you further in your career and understanding electricity than almost anything else you'll ever pick up.
Wow. Thanks, brother. Thank you for
Thanks,
your time.
Mario.
And
Thanks for being
before
here.
you go, just anybody who doesn't know, I've mentioned him plenty in my channel. He's the one that made the Dell tablet happen. And if you don't know where to find him, go check out ncautorescue.com.
Okay, I appreciate it. Autorescuetools.com.
Oh, we're changing it up. It was NC Auto Rescue.
No, NC Auto Rescue is the repair business. Auto Rescue Tools is where I will
this guy,
build computers
he's
for
busy.
you.
He's training. He's repairing. He's selling tools. I mean,
Wait, the future of automotive is in your hands. All you have to do is reach out, and there's going to be plenty of people that want to make that connection with you. And all I want to do is help you invest in your future.
and we appreciate it, brother. Thank
Thanks,
you very
Mario.
much.
Have a good weekend.
one,
Good to
man.
see you.
Thanks, brother. Same here.
Every other manufacturer is going to use a very similar sequence to this. So the first thing, if you look at the bottom display, that's our ignition voltage. So we've hit our ignition voltage on at the first step, right? And our ready light's going to come on at the first step. It's going to take about 1100 milliseconds. And at 1100 milliseconds, we're going to turn on K1. K1 is our pre-charge relay. The pre-charge relay is a ballast resistor. Everybody know what a ballast resistor is? The big fat resistors that are in these ceramic casings? Well, we're using a ballast resistor that's rated at 250 volts. And we're using that ballast resistor as a current limiting device. How many guys in here use a test light for testing and not a DVOM? Why do you use a test light for testing? Loading. What's it also do? Limits the current flow. So that's what we're doing with this ballast resistor. We're going to limit the current flow so that if there is a short, it's not an exciting short. So we're going to do that, but we're going to test for about 115 milliseconds. Do you know what we're doing when we turn on the pre-charge relay at that? Again, we're testing for a short on the negative side. So K3 is our battery negative contactor. So if we turn on our pre-charge relay and it detects current flow, what does that mean? Our K3 relay is open, right? That means we have a short. Either our K3 relay is stuck closed and we have current flow, or we have a short somewhere else and we're completing a circuit somewhere though. That's what's happening. We're completing a circuit. So we're going to turn that back off. Then we're going to leave it off for a second. Then what we're going to do is we're going to turn on our K3 relay momentarily for about 100 milliseconds. What are we doing there? We're making sure that again we don't have a shorted positive side. So then what we do is then we turn the K1 back on. Now this pre-charge only takes about 160 milliseconds. Does anybody know why we're turning on a pre-charge relay first? I haven't gone over this yet, so it's kind of a trick question. I haven't taught you this yet. It would be something you already have this knowledge. Thurman, I know you know it. Come on. I saw that hamster wheel spinning. We are pre-charging the capacitors in the inverter. We have giant capacitors in the inverter, like 3,300 microfarad capacitors at 450 volts. And we have 3 of them. So you want to pre-charge these so that when you close the contactors, you don't have arcing. So the pre-charge relay is there to prevent arcing. So we turn on our pre-charge relay. At this point, we are pre-charging the capacitors. We are limiting the current flow to our capacitors, and we're saturating the capacitors with electrons. Then we're going to turn on our K2, which is our battery positive. We're going to keep the battery positive and the K1, so K1, K2, and K3 are all going to be closed together for about 110 milliseconds. At this point, we have completely saturated our capacitors in the inverter. Once we've completely saturated the capacitors in the inverter, then we're able to open the K1 relay, and now we're operating just off of K2 and K3, and our vehicle is now completely ready. Then when we power the vehicle off, you can see here, we've switched the power off, and it's saying that Toyota says it's a variable time rate. They have no published time spec. But we're going to turn off, then we're going to turn off our battery positive contactor, then we're going to turn off our battery negative contactor, and then our ready signal goes away, and the vehicle is powered down.
All right, so we got yet another victim. Please introduce yourself to the world.
Hi, I'm Brandon Steck. We're instructed with CarQuest Technical Institute and WorldPack Training Institute as well. Happy to be here. Thanks, Mario.
Thank you for taking the time real quick to do this.
Absolutely.
We are going to ask our viewers, should you become, we're going to ask you, for our viewers, should you become a technician nowadays?
That's an excellent question. As you know, technology is ever increasing, and the skill set required to be a technician in today's world far exceeds of what it took in years past. So to become a technician in today's world, I think takes a lot more than it used to. However, when you start to do it, and you become engrossed in this trade, and you learn what it is you need to know to do this job properly, you can really do a good job. And it kind of, just the way technology is going, it kind of weeds out the people that can't handle it, if that makes sense. We've got a lot of people in the trade that probably aren't as capable as we make them out to be. So technology, I think, is going to fix a lot of that problem. It's a great time to get into the industry. We need people with strong thinking, critical thinking skills.
And training.
And training, for
right?
sure.
That's why we're doing this.
Here at ASTE.
Yeah.
Great place to be.
Also, what advice can you give for the technicians of tomorrow?
You know what? Going back to years past, a lot of our energy was focused on using our hands, mechanically taking things apart and being able to put these puzzle pieces back together. A lot of it now, believe it or not, leans more towards like the white-collar focused people that tend to use their mind more than their hands. And I think the fact that technology, again, is increasing and we've got a lot more electronics than we have in years past, being able to use your mind more so than your hands and having those critical thinking skills is what's necessary. So we definitely need people from that aspect to come in our industry.
Yeah, people good with electrical and troubleshooting and
thought
whatnot.
process and being able to understand how things work at a basic level, a component level.
Yeah. Quick question. Should shop owners send their technicians to training? Should they pay for their time in training, or should it all be on the technician? Is it the technician's responsibility?
Well, question number one, should they go to training? You're probably guys that one of the guys that really don't need as much training as a lot of other people do. And
always need training.
Here you are, yeah, and that's why the attitude that you need training just like I need training. We always have to keep up with technology and these changes. So absolutely, we all need to be here and have to continue to be here year after year. That's going to be part of our job, whether we like it or not. If we want to stay in this trade, we've got to stay on top of things. The question, should employers be compensating us for these trainings? I'm going to give you my belief. Is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know, but this is how I feel. If I have to take time off of work, of earning money, to take home to my family, to go to training, I think I should be compensated for it. I'm more than happy to go to training without compensation as long as it's after hours or on a weekend. But that's just my personal choice. So that's what I believe. If you're going to interrupt my workday, my ability to earn, I think I should be compensated for it. But if I can do so after hours as a supplement, I'm happy to go on my dime.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I think a lot of us share the same reaction. You know, we don't necessarily require that from a shop owner. We would try to get to training regardless, but you know, should we take the hit each time? I mean, that's how I feel about it.
Me as a technician, Mario, I feel like I'm willing to go the distance to be the best I can be. What does it say for the shop owner who's not willing to support me in that? He wants me to be the best I can be, but wants me to pay for it at the same time. I get no help. I know that's not the case in a lot of situations, but sometimes there are some of us that are experiencing that. So there might be greener pastures, things to keep in mind.
Yeah. Another question would be, what's an improvement that you would like to see in the industry overall?
A little bit of an attitude change. We all kind of feel, I shouldn't say all of us, a lot of us feel entitled. We don't like to get our hands dirty, or some of us, we've got to accept what it is that's in front of us, and we have to tackle that challenge just like anything else, whether we like it or not. I think everybody should take the opportunity to try and prove themselves whenever they can. Whatever it is that they're struggling with or that's holding them back, I think they should work to better themselves.
Awesome.
In a more positive direction.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
So, what's one of those things that you had to experience to learn? It's something that nobody could just spell it out for you. Nobody could teach it to you. It could be a diag, it could be a life lesson, it could be a business decision, it could be anything. What's one thing that you had to learn by experience?
You know what? Practical application.
Yeah.
Things we read about, things we learn about, things you watch Mario present in some of his case studies on Supermariodiagnostics. Once you get your hands on a vehicle or a system, whatever it is you're working with, or a tool, a specific tool you're using, learning to implement that tool the way you've learned about it in class, when you get your hands on it, practical application, that's what I mean by that. I think it's very important.
Cool. This is the final question, by the way.
Sure.
what is that one tool you just can't live without?
That's tough, and it's not the same for everybody.
No,
But for me, being
definitely not.
diagnostically focused, I'm going to say the lab scope, good Lord.
It might not even
DSO.
be diet related. It could be any
Yeah.
tool in life.
Yeah. You know what? That's a fair question. I'm glad you reiterated that. I'm going to say your brain. A technician's brain is the most powerful tool they could ever have in his possession, that tool between your ears, because without that, nothing else is going to work right. So it's the mindset of a diagnostician, in my case. I'm a diagnostician. It's a mindset of a diagnostician that's going to get me where I need to go. I'll make my way with the tools I have in front of me. It might not be the tool I desire, but it's the tool I have, and that's what I'm going to use to the best of its ability to prove out what I need to see.
Yeah, nobody can take away what you got in there, huh?
That's exactly right.
Thank you very much for your time,
Absolutely.
brother.
Hey, I'm honored to be on it. Thanks, Mario.
Thanks again.
This industry today, if you do not master electronics, you're done. Right? The power supply, make the motor work and everything else. Now what we do, we ask it to work, we send a discrete signal over to the thing, right? And it operates. Now, can I ask you something? That motor doesn't work. We all know it's a CAN bus problem now, right? How do we do something really, really dumb, like the remote starter button, and go from a power source to here, and we push the button? One or two things are going to happen, isn't it? The motor's going to work, it's not going to work. If the motor works, and I'd say, okay, we might have a communication problem. I said, Mike, we could have a problem over here also, right? But what do I know? It's not that. There is a basic corn circuit. And I'm going to show you two line diagrams. These are 1 year apart. Same identical vehicle, 1 year apart. Okay? Let's blow the horn. Okay? What we're going to do here, we're going to push this horn pad, and what that's going to do is going to put the path to ground, right? And it's going to work its way up here, and it's going to make that a magnet because you've got a power source there. That magnet's going to operate, it's going to pull the switch over, go down to the horn, and the horns have a ground. And we're going to go beep beep. Now, what's this here? This here is for a couple different things. One is that when the tech is out to get the next job today, what they usually do is hit the phone a couple times, what horn blows, and they know that the car is going to work on, right? So basically, you can operate the horn, in this case, a couple different ways. Or it might be hooked to the alarm system or something like that, right? But isn't that just a basic circuit, right? Now, let's go 1 year or newer. Believe me when I tell you, there's a lot of people that ask me to stop showing people this stuff. I said, no, I'm not going to stop showing people. We need time to make money. We don't want to be wasting time. I've got 1 year newer vehicle, the same identical vehicle. If I put these two vehicles together, you'll not see any difference whatsoever. Okay? But now we got CAN bus. So now what we're going to do? Now we're going to push this button, all right? And we're going to send a signal up, and we're going to say to the instrument cluster, cluster panel, the module here, that we want the horn to work. And he's going to go, what do you want? Your horn? Okay. What I'll do is I'll send a signal up to the module up here. And module, you know, this bonehead behind the steering wheel here, he wants the horn to work. It's okay, Jesus Christ, we'll give it to him now. And what happens is it sends a signal out here, a ground signal out here, to relay there, which then in turn pulls this over and blows the horn. Now you tell me, I'm not here to teach you horns. I'm here to teach you simplicity. How about if you take a remote starter button, all right, and go up here, all right? You got power there. How about you go known good ground and connect there and push the button? And the horn doesn't blow. I'm going to play and find out what the hell is wrong. The relay's wrong, the horn's wrong. I got a mechanical problem, right? I don't have a control, but I don't have a CAN bus problem. I don't more than likely have a CAN bus problem. What I now know is how fast it take me to split the circuits. So if I yell at the Bob in the back to flip the switch, but he's back there sleeping, the light's not going to go on, right? It's a communication problem. Every CAN bus problem I've been on in my life, as fast as I can, I split the circuit in half. Is it a communication problem or is it an old-fashioned device problem?
So we got our next victim.
Victim?
Please
Oh, man.
introduce yourself
Hey.
to the YouTube world.
Hello, YouTube world. Is that what we call everybody? Charles is my name. Humble Mechanic is. I feel like I have to
The
say my
game.
game, right? Like, what? How else do you follow that up? How else
Yeah.
do you follow that up? That's it. So, hi.
Yeah, those of you who don't know, I mean, he's been around way longer than I have. He's been in the industry for how long?
Yeah, knocking on the door of 20 years.
20 years in the industry, man. I've been in the industry coming up on 8 years. So we're speaking to a vet, and I really want to thank you for taking the time real quick.
Absolutely, I am super excited. Super excited.
I'll make it short and sweet, and
I will ramble on continuously, so it'll be a good balance.
there you go. First question is, which I know you've addressed in the past,
Yep.
but we'll keep it going. Should they become a mechanic nowadays?
Yeah, nowadays. So, I used to just say yes, it's worth it. Make it happen. Today, I'm a little, a touch more guarded on that. This is an incredible industry. This is an incredible industry for the right person, for the person that really is going to put in the effort to become a high-level technician or high-level mechanic, whichever way you prefer. If you're going to be satisfied with being average, and that's where you're going to top out, I think the next 10 years are going to be very hard. If you are the type of person that you want to be the best technician in the shop, which I do not mean making the most money or turning the most hours, the amount of potential is limitless. But understand that this will never be an easier field to get into. This job's never going to get easier. It is only going to get harder, which means you have to work harder to be in that upper echelon, that elite level technician. That said, if it's your dream and you want to do it, do it. Because who the hell am I to stop someone's dream of, I want to be a mechanic or whatever. Go for it, is ultimately my thing. But understand, we're in a very rapidly changing industry, which I'm sure people have been saying for the last 50 years. The next 10 are going to make the last 40 look like a day at the park. But ultimately, yes, if you want to, make it happen.
Awesome. Thank you. What advice would you give to the technicians of tomorrow?
Technicians of tomorrow, a couple of things that are probably going to sound completely unrelated to actually being a technician, because the advice of don't buy Snap-on tools when you first start is probably lost on most people. Most people want that fancy stuff. I do too, I'm with you, but don't buy Snap-on tools right away, or Matco or Mac or any of the high dollar brands. Save your money while you learn how to manage your money, especially if you're a flat rate technician. I think the bigger piece of advice, though, that I would have is make sure that your mindset is right for what you're doing. What I mean by that is if you're fixing someone's car, it's very easy to forget on the other side of that car you're working on, there is a human that is requiring that vehicle for their life. Whether it's mom going to work, dad taking the kids to school, getting grandma to church on Sunday, whatever it is, someone's life or livelihood or passion is on the other side of that vehicle. And if you forget that, you will start to find yourself in places where you're gonna make bad choices. If you always remember there is a customer relying on you and your skills to make their life right. I mean, look, you've had a car breakdown, I've had a car breakdown, it sucks.
Yeah.
Never is it a good thing. And we know about cars, right? We know this is an inevitable problem. Imagine someone that doesn't know anything about cars coming to you and paying you for your skill set. If you have that mentality, all the rest of it, you'll figure out. You'll figure out how to be that top level technician if that's your goal. And I'm gonna let you ask more questions because I feel like there's one that I'll be able to circle that back and hit it home.
All right, let's swing for it then. The next question, it's a set of questions that I already put together. We're at a training event, obviously. Should shop owners send their technicians to training fully paid, or should it be the technician's responsibility?
I like when shops pay their technicians, pay for and pay their technicians to be here. That, as a technician, shows that not only does the boss like actually care about running and increasing their business and making sure that their business is better, that their technicians are better, but it shows the level of trust that the owner or manager or whoever's in charge of training has in that individual technician. So if you have two technicians, one gets paid to go to training all the time and one gets to go once a year, how does that one guy that gets to go once a year feel, right? They feel like they're not as valuable of the team, part of the team, as that guy that gets paid, goes multiple times. So yes, I think shop owners should take care of it. I know shop owners are like, that sucks and that's a lot of money. Yep, but you know what's even more expensive? Not having any business or not having any technicians. To qualify that a little bit, two things. If you're working at a shop that does not pay for any training, I might consider the overall package of benefits you have, and maybe your talents are better used elsewhere. Also, do not ever, am I in the shop? Am I good? Okay, let's make sure I'm good. Do not ever rely on your boss for those things. This is your career. This is your life. This is your livelihood. If your boss won't pay, do not use that as a bullcrap excuse. I want to say something else, but do not use that as a bullcrap excuse to not go to training and not better yourself and not educate yourself. That is a weak excuse. Does it suck? Yep, I agree. Is it an excuse? Nope. Go to training and make it happen anyway.
There you go. Thank you, man. Next question is...
These are phenomenal questions, by the way.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. Actually, for those of you, who don't know, my wife actually helped me with these questions. And my friends, my colleagues here.
Are you going to buy her something and bring it home for her?
I hope so.